Okay, thank you all for sharing feedback. While other feedbacks are coming, like I said, we don't have much time. I'm going to dive right into it. And I hope that at the end of today, you not just say AI, but when you say AI, it's going to have a meaning, something important, something relevant for you and for the people you're speaking to. Now, when it comes to um, AI or artificial intelligence, I think there's this quote that says, when the purpose of a thing is unknown, abuse is inevitable. So before we start talking about the practical theories and how to use all these AI tools, I want us to really understand what AI is. And if you see, the subset of the topic is artificial intelligence, which is AI, and prompt engineering. Most times you see them go together. Sometimes you will see artificial intelligence and machine learning. So I hope that by the end of this call or at the end of this call, you will really understand what all of these things are, how they tie together, and how they are relevant to you, not just for today, but also for the future. Um, in this call, we're going to be looking at the welcome and introduction, which I have already done. We're going to be looking at an introduction to artificial intelligence, which is AI. We're also going to be looking at some basic and key concepts of AI. Then we're going to be looking at prompt engineering, the role of prompt engineering in artificial intelligence. We're going to be looking at the fundamentals of prompt engineering. And then we're going to be looking at ethical considerations and challenges. And we're going to be doing some hands-on practicals using AI tools. We're going to use ChatGPT, but then if we have more time, we might also use some other tools like Perplexity AI and some other AIs. If we can't use them, I will just tell you about them and then you can check that up. So let's start. What is AI? What is artificial intelligence? You know, we have people and we've met people and we just say, oh, this guy is intelligent, this girl is intelligent. So when you think intelligence, what comes to your mind? When you say someone is intelligent, what comes to your mind? Kate, can we get the recordings practice on your own? Yeah, like I said, after August 15th, the recording is going to be on the platform, so you can check that out. But between now and then, no, until access to the group is closed, then we can give you access to that. Okay. So you say this person is intelligent. You will hear people say, no, this person is not intelligent. This person is brilliant. Oh, no, this person is smart. No, this person is intelligent, oh, but it's not book smart. Or you hear all of that. So I think when you have two words together, the first thing you want to check is what are the words on a standalone, and then you bring them together. When you talk about intelligence, you're talking about the ability to acquire, excuse me, mom. When you talk about intelligence, you're talking about your ability to acquire, understand, and apply knowledge and skills. You're talking about someone or a thing or a concept where if you say this person is intelligent, it means this person doesn't just, is not able to just accept something. This person can easily understand this thing and also translate it. Because some people understand it, and when they understand it, they give you garbage in, garbage out. Those ones are just brilliant. Like they can cram, they get A's, but they are not able to translate whatever it is they have learned. They are not able to apply it. The difference between just a brilliant person and an intelligent person is the fact that that intelligent person can apply what they have learned, what they know, into something tangible. It kind of involves various processes, such as you have to learn, you have to think, reasoning, you have to have problem solving skills, perception, and all of that. And so when you talk about, just as you talk about intelligence, human intelligence, when you talk about artificial intelligence, you're talking about intelligence that what humans are doing, but now you're not able to mimic it, such that a non-human entity can do it. So artificial intelligence is basically a branch of computer science that is focused on creating systems that perform tasks that typically require human intelligence. So we realize that you can't have so many intelligent people everywhere. And so the systems are not efficient. Like you look for people and then their own is just tell me what to do, garbage in, garbage out. And that's why you keep hearing people saying AI will soon take over your jobs. AI will not take over your job if you have critical thinking skills and problem solving skills. You can trust me on that. It's not going to do that. But if you're not able to think, rather than hire you, they're just going to get somebody which you're going to be understanding the whole deep learning and all of that later. They're just going to get someone who is intelligent and then mimic that person and just replicate. And that's what AI is able to do. I remember when I started Animations with Excellence, I was talking about how animations can simplify learning and democratize access to learning. So you don't have to have one smart teacher being all over the place. The person can replicate his or her knowledge, and so people in remote areas can learn. That is artificial intelligence. And so, like I said, just like with normal intelligence, it includes with artificial intelligence, the system or the platform has to learn, has to reason, has to have some form of perception and language understanding. In layman terms, imagine you have a very smart robot friend, and this robot can learn things just like you. And so you show it pictures of cat and dog, and every day you're showing this is a cat, this is a dog. This is a cat, this is a dog. And then with time, it gets to tell the difference between them. So when you talk to it, it understands what you're saying and it even talks back at you. So that's just like a robot, but not just even a robot, even a human being. By the time you just like you're learning, like you pick up a book and you're able to understand the difference in things. That's how the AI works. That's learning. So this robot friend or whatever it is what we call an artificial intelligence. It's very clever and it can help you do many things just like a person. But then it's beyond that. However, before we go deep into the AI and how it works, when I say AI, I'm talking about artificial intelligence. Let me not assume that everybody knows what I'm talking about. But before we go deep into that, I want to run you through a brief history of what AI is and how it came about. So a long time ago, people were dreaming about making machines that could think and learn like humans because they felt humans were not efficient enough and most times not reliable. And so in 1950, first, a man named Alan Turing thought, what if machines could think? That was where it started. There's power in imagination. Whatever he sees, you see that exists today has existed in the mind of someone before. And he's like, what if machines could think? And then between 1950s and 60s, that was like 10 years to 20 years, scientists made the first AI programs. And do you know that the being able to play chess and solve puzzles? I remember when I was much younger, we were able to play chess on Microsoft on this desktop computer. That was actually AI, right? Working and then solve puzzles. But then in 1980, it became more smarter, realizing that these machines could not just learn, but they could also learn from their mistakes and then also get better. And today we have smart machines that can do so many things. So it has evolved. And trust me, it will continue to evolve. And you're going to see how, when we get to the area of machine learning and deep learning, how this works and how you can strategically position yourself to be relevant even with the AI. Artificial intelligence is important because it helps machines think like human beings, and it also makes them very good at doing tasks that needs a lot of thinking, understanding, repetitive work. The thing about artificial intelligence is that it can handle huge amount of data and it can make decisions faster than people can. Machines do not have mood swings. Machines do not say, I don't feel like doing it. Machines just do what they've been asked to do. And so with that, people believe they can improve efficiency and accuracy in many areas. In healthcare, we found that artificial intelligence help doctors find disease. They can actually help you define or interpret X-rays. AI can also suggest treatment for people based on your medical history. Like literally, we see today, just upload your resume to ChatGPT and tell me what kind of jobs can you suggest for me. That is the same way that based on your medical history, AI, once you upload it, AI can tell you what treatments or what you could likely face. Today, there's a part of healthcare that is called precision medicine. And it has a lot to do with large language models, AI, and being able to identify not just cures, but potential diseases, individual, like in an individualistic format, like not just as a group, but based on an individual. AI also is speeding up discovery of new medicines. In finance, AI helps with fraud detection. It helps you catch unusual activities. It helps you make quick decisions with when you're trading in terms of crypto, and it also helps you with customer service, answering chatbot question. We have a lot of chatbots today. I'm saying all of this, assuming that some people here have no clue or idea that the chatbots that they're chatting with on most websites are actually AI, or that it actually works. In retail, AI can suggest products for you. We even see it in ads. We even see how AI can enhance your customer demographic and your digital marketing prowess. There are self-driving cars now. I live in California, and there are literally self-driving cars on the street, cars that drive by themselves. So I'm not just saying that I have heard about it, I have seen them and I see them. So I believe that in Nigeria, you might not see them yet, but they actually do exist. And you might want to Google self-driving cars. That is AI for you. AI also enhances traffic management. It can analyze patterns and tell you this is what is likely going to happen. In fact, it's quite infused in maps these days and can predict that there might be traffic in this area and what to do and all of that, and provides the best routes for deliveries. AI is there in entertainment. AI is there even when it comes to game development or even content creation. You know, there are so many tools today that can help you edit your videos and your music. What do you think are those tools that you actually use that they automatically bring your subtitles? What do you think is using? So AI is literally everywhere. In education, it can create a whole lesson. It can help you. Some people literally put in the questions. Sorry, this is a bad practice, but I have to tell you, most people that answer questions, especially questions that are objective in their exams in school, they just copy the question, put it on AI to find the answers or the most likely answers and answer. So it does that for people. It can also help grade assignments. It's in manufacturing. It's literally everywhere. It's like the super smart assistant that helps you improve the different areas of your life. But you know, most people, when they see this, instead of them to see how can I use it to enhance my life, the next thing they are wondering is, hey, he wants to take over my job. Oh, so now they can use AI to do this. That means I'm not relevant. No, that's not what happens. Now, when it comes to artificial intelligence, there are different types. There's the narrow artificial intelligence and there's the general artificial intelligence. The narrow artificial intelligence is designed to perform a specific task or tasks that are related. So it kind of operates under a limited set of rules. That's why it's called narrow. So it's either it's a particular task or it's related. For example, virtual assistants like Siri and Alexa, they can answer questions and follow commands. That is actually a narrow AI. Like if you give it something out of the box to tell you it doesn't know. So it's narrowed. Also, recommendation systems on Netflix and Amazon, it can't give you something outside what they have on the system. It's programmed for a specific task or related task. Self-driving cars too, they also use narrow AI so that they don't veer off course. Now the thing with narrow AI is that it can perform its own designated tasks very well, but cannot do anything outside what you have programmed it to do. It has to be within that area. But there's something called general AI, which is also called strong AI. The narrow AI is the weak AI. The general AI, which is a strong AI, has the ability to understand, learn, and apply knowledge, just like human intelligence. It can perform any task that any human can do. As of now, from when I searched, there's no general AI that exists. It's still more of a theoretical concept, but it's possible because there are some questions you will even ask the almighty ChatGPT and it will say, I don't know. Or in fact, ChatGPT right now cannot literally transcribe your audio to like text, right? But what a general AI has a capacity to do is you show it a pattern and it somehow understands, or you send it something and even if it doesn't have a pre-recorded memory, it's able to still give you a result. It's able to think, reason, and make decisions. So generally, I'm telling you, this is the future. This is where it's going. We're moving beyond narrow AI, but there's a belief that there's a possibility that strong AI, it's actually going to be the future. Now, in AI or artificial intelligence, as it is called, there are some key concepts that I need you to understand. And two key concepts, machine learning and deep learning. Um, Very important because they are critical in when you want to understand artificial intelligence. Machine learning is basically a branch of artificial intelligence that focuses on developing algorithms and statistical models that enable computers to perform tasks without explicit instructions. So when you talk of algorithms, you're talking about, you hear, oh, Instagram algorithms, Facebook algorithms. So algorithms are step-by-step procedures or rules that are designed to perform a specific task or solve a problem. You can call a recipe for baking a cake an algorithm, or a step-by-step process to do a data analysis. When you're writing the code, let me not assume that you write codes here, but you're writing R, you have a step, and all of that. So that is an algorithm, right? And in computing, algorithms are very important because they provide clear instruction on how to accomplish a particular task. And then when you talk about statistical model, you're talking about a mathematical representation of observed data that captures relationship between variables. So what statistical model does is that it uses techniques, not say mathematical, but statistical techniques to describe patterns and make predictions and infer insight from the data. So looking at the data, it's able to draw and identify this is this. Oh, because this is this, it infers that this is this. Now, when I say infer, if you're a science student, you know that when you're trying to run a test, you do the test, you do the hypothesis, the observation, and then you have the inference. So this is what I see. But then from what I see, this is what is likely happening, right? So with machine learning, it's that branch of artificial intelligence that focuses on developing algorithms and statistical models that help computers to perform these tasks. And with machine learning algorithms, the machine is able to learn patterns from data and make decisions or predictions based on what it has learned. And when it comes to machine learning, there are some key areas or some concepts that we're going to be looking at shortly. But before we look at that, there are very two types of learning that a machine, there are basically two formats in which a machine can learn: the supervised learning and the unsupervised learning. In supervised learning, what happens is that the algorithm is trained on a labeled data set, meaning that each training is paired with an output label. So the goal is to learn the mapping from the inputs to the outputs. That means it's programmed in such a way that if A, then B. So if you see C, it will not even bring out anything. So that's what supervised learning is all about. It is the data set is labeled. I know not all of you here can code, but you see if this, and then, or you label a set and then you say print. If it's not properly label it, it won't print anything. Or if you make a mistake with maybe what they call it now, the quotation mark or something, will not label anything. That's how supervised learning literally is. And examples of supervised learning are like what you see in terms of when you want to log in or they want to do robot, they'll say identify the cats in this image. That's actually supervised learning, such that even if you pick something that looks like a cat but is a cat in your head, but it's not like a cat, it will tell you wrong. Another way they use supervised learning is in the spam detection. So if you notice, have you thought about it, that why is it that some messages go to spam but they are not spam? There are some things that has been labeled that once the system identifies it like this, it automatically goes to spam. And that is what supervised learning does. However, in unsupervised learning, the algorithm is given an unlabeled data set, and the algorithm is expected to find the structure of the data on its own. The goal is just to identify patterns. It's just like a statistical model. So you identify the patterns in it, and then you group the data accordingly. Examples can be when you're trying to, so that it gives you, you put in, upload a spreadsheet of all your customers. What it does is it looks at the patterns and be like, oh, you have more people in Lagos. These are the Lagos people. You have people in South Africa. These are the South African people, and all of that. It clusters them. So clustering is an example of unsupervised learning. You've not particularly programmed it with anything, but it just segments them. You can also see unsupervised learning in anomaly detection, where you look at it, and especially when it comes to fraud and irregularities, you upload the data and you say identify an anomaly in this. That is unsupervised learning. Machine learning is applied in healthcare, is applied in finance, in retail, in transportation and entertainment, just like artificial intelligence. So you can see, like we explained, that in artificial intelligence, you have to learn, it has to learn. So how does the machine learn? It's through machine learning. Do you guys get? Are we on a flow? Before I continue, tell me in the chat box if I'm making sense or if I'm just rambling to myself. Are we making some kind of sense? Are we okay? All right, thank you. So that's what it is. Okay. So under machine learning, we have what we call deep learning. So we have artificial intelligence, we have machine learning, and under machine learning, we have what we call deep learning. Deep learning is more of using algorithms inspired by the structure and function of the human brain, known as artificial neural networks. So in your brain, you have the neural networks there. And so what deep learning does, and that's why it's called deep, is that the machine kind of mimics what is in your brain, and it's designed to stimulate the way humans learn and process information so that it can enable computers to recognize patterns. Now, can one smart person help me, like looking at this, what I just explained about deep learning? What do you think they're doing with deep learning? What do you think they're tilting towards? And somebody smart, there's something they're tilting towards with deep learning. Can somebody quickly tell me? Can anybody get it? I talked about it. I mentioned, let me see, robots. Yeah. Okay, we don't have time, so I don't want to be doing it. It's tilting towards strong AI, the ability to understand and learn and apply knowledge in a way that is similar to the human intelligence. So that is what they are all trying to do with the whole deep learning thing. It's a part of machine learning, which is also machine learning, but it's just trying to stimulate the brain. Do you see why you are not redundant? If you are not important, if you're not making sense, then why would they want to stimulate your brain? If you're not important, if your brain is not fire, why would they want to stimulate your brain? But the truth is, it's not everybody's brain they want to stimulate. Have you thought about it? So when they are looking for the brains to use and the idea they want to train, do you think that you have developed yourself well enough to be classified as a standard for the machines to use to learn? That's something to think about. Okay, so these neural networks, when it comes to computer, different from the brain, are basically computational models that are inspired by the human brain. They consist of interconnected layers of nodes and neurons. I hope you understand this. So I'm a scientist, but I'm also in tech. So I'm trying to make it as simple as possible. So what happens is that these interconnected layers of nodes and neurons, they work together to process the data that has been imputed and generate output. The process is simple. So neural networks have three main types of layers. They have the input layer, the output layer, and it has the input layer, the output layer, and the neurons. So what happens is that the input layer receives the initial data, the input layer, the hidden layer, and the output layer, sorry. What happens is that the input layer receives the initial data, and then the hidden layer is where the data processing occurs, which can involve a lot of compress and all of that. Don't worry about that. And then it produces the final output of prediction. So that's how simple I can make it. So with the neural networks, you have three layers: garbage in, it processes, and then garbage out, right? So each neuron processes the data that has been imputed and applies a mathematical function and passes the results to the next layer. And literally that's how it works. So when it comes to learning, the neural networks learn from data through the process called training. During that training, the network adjusts its weights and its connections to minimize error. So the more the data is passed through, the more it's learning, and it works through algorithms. So it's step by step, and then It keeps working till it's able to understand and optimize the techniques. Right, that's basically what it actually is with deep learning. So with deep learning, you're literally pushing those data. It has kind of revolutionized how many industries enable machines to perform tasks. So what it does is that it processes a vast amount of data, and it creates patterns. So the human keeps feeding it information. You do it, you do it, you do it again and again and again, and by the time you've done it over time, it begins to be able to do that on its own and figure out how to do it even without you being there, right? So that's what deep learning it's all about. I mentioned that we're going to be looking at some machine learning terminologies, which include algorithms, which we've talked about. We've talked about models as well. We talked about statistical models, but basically models are the output of the machine learning algorithm. After they've been trained on the data, the models are the length patterns, the relationship within the data that can be used to make predictions. So I told you algorithms have the step-to-step procedures. So you put it in and you train the data. So once you've been able to get the output, the model, it becomes a model. So that model is now where others can now be using or put their own data, and then the AI begins to work. Why data sets are a collection of data used to train and validate, the machine. That's what you put in, and to get the results. It's very important that your data is high quality, well labeled, because really it's like garbage in, garbage out. Is the quality of what you put in is determines what is going to come out. I hope I'm not saturating your head. I hope this is not too much. I hope it's not too much. Don't worry, you get the replay so you can sit down and look at it again. So, prompt engineering, and this is my favorite about it. Not many people will ever get to the back end to train, to go and be looking at the brain and setting up the machine and putting that in. But we mentioned that you're going to be putting in some data sets, you're going to be working with algorithms to train the machine. And then they make the machine, which is the model. But do you know that most AI tools today use ChatGPT? They use ChatGPT, the ChatGPT model, right? And then also some platforms. Now, when you get the API for that and you put it on your system, what most times people do to help enhance that model for them is prompt engineering, and they get used to that. So I'm going to be detailing that in a bit. Prompt engineering is basically the process of designing and refining inputs to guide the AI models. So in prompt engineering, you already have a model, right? So not everybody will be involved in designing or creating a model. But then where you most likely will find work is with prompt engineering. And it's particularly those based on natural language processing. It's done to generate accurate and relevant responses. The primary purpose of prompt engineering is basically to maximize the effectiveness and accuracy of AI models in generating useful responses. And if you carefully design prompts, the users can influence the behavior of the AI. Last year, I worked with a chat box, a company that had a chat box, and I was focused on training the chat box. And what I used was prompt engineering. It was already a model. It was built using ChatGPT. So what I did was I kept asking it a specific form of questions, and if it didn't answer properly, I took note of that, went to the back end and retweaked it. Oh, this kind of question you do not answer, or answer it this way, or that way. So what's the importance of prompt engineering when it comes to artificial intelligence and NLP? NLP is natural language processing. And you might be wondering what NLP is. NLP is basically a branch of artificial intelligence that focuses on the interaction between computers and human languages. So it involves teaching computers to understand and interpret and generate human language in a way that is meaningful and useful. So remember, it's garbage in, garbage out. So it depends on the language that you put in or that programmed your model, that will determine the output it will have. So when it comes to prompt engineering enhances the performance of the model. I hope you're not getting me lost here. We've talked about AI, machine learning, and deep learning, and how it enhances us to build that model. Now you have the model. An example of a model is ChatGPT. So prompt engineering helps you enhance the performance of the model. When you have properly engineered prompts, when you put them in, it can improve the performance of your AI model and helps you reduce ambiguity, which we're going to be seeing when we do practical, and provide very clear instructions. So it helps you get more precise answers from it. It also enhances efficiency and usability, and it also allows you to customize the behavior of your AI models. Another thing it does is it helps you mitigate bias and errors. So when I was training that chatbot, which was quite programmed for women in the US, it was quite biased to Black moms. And so I had to make it understand that it should also give response to Black moms and also the uniqueness that it had. So a thoughtful prompt design can help you mitigate bias and reduce errors in AI responses. So basically, prompt engineering is very important when working with AI models, and it enhances its ability to understand and respond. And the quality of your output in AI tools is usually relative to the quality of your prompt. There are two broad roles in prompt engineering prompt engineering in AI, which is enhancing the AI model as well as creating effective prompts for the AI application. Prompt engineering plays a very critical role in optimizing the models, especially NLP, as we talked about. So by carefully crafting your prompt, you can actually guide the model on how to give you something accurate. For example, let me give an example. Give me a sec. I want to show you an example. For example, if you ask an AI, okay, if you ask a ChatGPT, for example, and says, this is my resume, write a cover letter, the answer is going to give you is going to be different if you say, you are a tech recruiter with over 20 years experience, and this is a role that has these qualifications, and then this is my resume. Write me a cover letter that poses me as a strong candidate for this job. Make sure in writing the letter, the tone should be casually professional, but should be engaging and, something like that. With prompts, it helps you, gives you clarity and precision. Also, beyond that, I don't know, people just open ChatGPT and just start typing. Do you know that there's a way you can set it to pre-program the kind of responses you get? That's what prompt engineering does for you. It also helps you with specificity, where it provides clear instruction to the AI model what you actually need. And trust me, if you're not specific, it gives you a general response. Now, when it comes to prompt engineering, like we've mentioned, it's the input or instruction given to an AI model to get a desired response. Simple. The input or instruction given to an AI model to get a response. That is what prompt engineering is. It's usually the start for whatever response you want. So you have to put in something. So that input, that question you're putting, that text, that sentence, that this thing, it's a prompt. It is a prompt, and it is very important or crucial in shaping the outputs of from the AI. An example is, let's say in a customer service chat box, and the chat box says, "How can I help you today?" That is the purpose of that prompt, is basically to initiate a conversation and direct you to maybe a specific inquiry. Now, usually when you're using prompt, it's very important that you start with the end in mind. You think of the end in mind. Someone is not muted. Okay. Sorry. You think of the end in mind when you're putting your prompt. Yes, Kunene, the more specific the prompt, the closer the results are to what you need. Absolutely. So prompts are essential when you're interacting with AI. It helps you define the scope and the context of the tasks that the AI can perform. It basically limits or expands your AI. Now, this is where it becomes very interesting and very important: designing effective prompts. When you're designing effective prompt, is Very important that you focus on clarity, specificity, and you also need to provide context and relevance. And also, you might need to continuously test this platform and reiterate on it. This is the only way you can optimize AI models. So when we talk about clarity and specificity, we're talking about it's important that the AI model understands what is being asked. So you have to be clear. So instead of asking, tell me about animals, you can say, describe the habitat and diet of African elephant. You have to be specific. Instead of saying, write me a resume, you want to be, okay, you are this. You want to be very specific. That's number one. Number two, you want to provide context and relevance. Context and relevance helps the AI understand the settings or scenario of what you're asking it for. For example, if you're looking for a travel recommendation, a prompt with a context would be something like, suggest a tourist attraction in Paris for someone who loves art and history. Do you see? Or, I have an entrepreneurship mindset. Should I go for a professional doctorate or a PhD program? So that's what it does. You need to provide context, or you might say, this is my experience. Based on this, what do you? It's important to provide context and relevance if you have to. It doesn't have to be something long. And then with AI, you have to keep experimenting and putting more. The beautiful thing about iterative testing is that it helps you identify the most effective prompt and which one works. So in as much as I would love to give you a bunch of templates and say, put this, you get this, sometimes not exactly. You might want to start with a general prompt. For example, you can say, explain climate change. Then as you go further, you now say, explain how human activities contribute. Like, you can keep narrowing it down, or you can say, tell me about this, and you keep asking it. The thing with AI models, most times, especially with something like ChatGPT, is that it can be very, very interactive. Now, there are some common techniques that are used in prompt engineering, which include prompt templates, prompt churning, as well as what we call the 0-1 shot and all of that. And I'm going to be explaining it to you in a bit. Prompt engineering utilizes techniques like all of this to optimize AI responses. When we talk of prompt templates, we're talking about predefined structures or formats. If you go to Amazon or you go to some platforms, you see them telling you, hey, you can buy this prompts, AI prompts that give you good results. The templates kind of help or guide the AI in generating responses. It ensures that the prompts are standardized, but trust me, like I said, there's something called iterative testing. It's like a loop. You try it, it doesn't work, it doesn't give you something, you try it again. You might want to also regenerate your answers from time to time. But when we talk about prompt churning, we're talking about using a series of connected prompts to guide the AI model through a task or through a multi-step process. What this does is that it helps you manage very complex tasks by breaking them into smaller ones. So for example, you can upload a document, a PDF document, and you say, list the main points of this article. Then in the second prompt, you say, summarize these main points into a single paragraph. Then you can say, summarize this into one sentence. So that is what we call prompt churning. Now, we also have what we call the 0 shots, the 1 shot, and the few shots learning. It's also a technique you can use with the 0 shot learning. What it does is that the AI model generates responses without any examples. So for example, if you ask the AI model, translate good morning to Igbo, the 1 shot, what it does is that it just translates it. Like, you didn't provide any preamble, or what do I call it now, before that. But in the 1 shot learning, what it does is that the AI has been provided with an example to learn from. So for example, you say, here is how to write a thank you note. Thank you for the gift, it was thoughtful. Now write a thank you note for a birthday present. Or you say, my boss sent me this email. Now, this is how I typically respond. Reframe it for me. Or, you have this is how this person, I want to rewrite it or something. So with 1 shot, there's just one example. But with few shots, you have few examples to learn from. What this technique does is that it helps the AI model to handle a variety of tasks with different level of prior information, making it flexible and adaptable. So you can either use prompt templates to get your results, or you can use prompt churning, like have that conversation interaction with it, or you can use the shot method, whether the 0 shot, 1 shot, or few shot. My favorite is the prompt churning and also the few shots. I also like the 1 shot learning as well. Now, before we go into practicals, thank God we're right on time. I want to talk to you about ethical consideration and challenges. So when it comes to AI, there's a lot of buzz around it. It's not censored. People are scared. People are worried. What's going on? It's cloning voices, it's cloning people, and all of that. Now, beyond that area of privacy and security, the number one issues that when it comes to AI is bias and fairness. We know that most of this AI are made in the Western world, and so most times we feel that the data set that is used that they use to train them is it's kind of biased. It's not for example, you train an AI with resumes of whites, and then you have this black international student applying, and once it just keeps cutting short because maybe the person is putting a particular name, and then once it sends the name, it just flags you up without even giving you a chance. And because most platforms or most organizations trust this AI, it doesn't even give you a chance. So bias and fairness is something that that are concerned about. Then it also AI processes a large amount of information. The kind of things people put in there and upload, it calls for concern for privacy and security. It's very funny that you use an AI tool to write, and when you check for plagiarism, you'll see that you're faulted from it. That's another issue that people get worried about. So challenges include trying to avoid the bias, which is a lot of things that people are working with now. When they're talking about equity, not just in health, but in all areas, these are things they're talking about, inclusivity and diversity. And so when it comes to training, building models, as well as training AI models, they're trying to make sure that you have a diverse pool as much as possible. And there's a call for Africans to also be there, considering that they are the consumers, they're most of the consumers of this thing. So why don't we have them training and building this models? With best practices, it's important that you ensure that you use it ethically and responsibly, and we keep learning. I have taught you today, and I have told you that there's also a push, like there's a shift, a lot is going on, a lot is evolving. And so you need to keep checking and finding out what is new. How is it relevant in my field, and how can I do better with it? So that's what it is about AI. So AI will not take over the job of someone that can think critically. It's going to make your job easier. It's going to make your job faster. But then you have to think not how can I do away with AI, but how can I leverage AI? Another thing is, as much as AI is AI, artificial intelligence, it lacks emotion. And up to date, like I said, they're still moving to strong AI. Somehow, these days, even with the ChatGPT 4.0 or 4.0, it can have a personalized touch a bit, but there are some lived-in examples that AI cannot generate for you, that only you know, that when you infuse it, it makes you stand out. So instead of taking garbage in, garbage out, I need you to see AI as an enhancer, an enhanced tool, and not exactly a just give me a tick and I give back. Some people are really lazy, so they don't want to sit down and do the work. So AI should give you the general info. And most times people are too lazy to sit down and use the prompt churning method. The prompt churning method is something I really found helpful. Interact with it, and keep going back and front and keep reiterating. Most times you get the best result for that. Now with AI, there's so many tools, so many AI tools to transcribe. The most popular is ChatGPT, of which most platforms are built on. But when it comes to academic work, some people suggest Perplexity AI or the ChatGPT Pro. It can help. Google also has Gemini, which is also can also be really good. Not can also really good. You also have Chat PDF that summarizes materials. So for you to stay updated, if you don't have time to be reading all the bulky articles and all of that, you can just download the article or the paper and upload it to ChatGPT PDF and interact with it. or even ChatGPT can interact with PDFs as well. Um, there's so many AI tools, but the quality of what comes out is what your prompt is. And so if you're able to work on your prompt and you're able to get it right, you would see that you get better results. Also, another trick that I found helpful with AI is being able to merge different results. So sometimes I might ask ChatGPT a question and I go to Gemini, which is the Google AI platform. Oh, sorry, it's not more Gemini, it's Bard. No, it was Bard, it's now Gemini, maybe something. I go there and I ask the same question and then I compare the answers and maybe take a bit from here, bit from here, and then with my intelligence, I'm able to infuse or infer what I want. Please also know that when you're asking questions, especially academic questions, request that it cites if it has to cite so that you don't plagiarize, you don't take someone's content and they get to you, they get at you for it. Remember that as you're asking it these questions and putting these prompts, you're training it, but just as you're training it, other people are training it as well, right? So all those data are being saved, they are being taken, and so you need to be wise and intentional and also be guided. There's no so much security about it, so know the kind of information that you get to process through it. Now, before we go into practicals, this is the end of the theoretical sessions. Are we clear? Do you have any questions, any comments, or do you need any clarifications? Are we clear? Tell me in the chat box. You don't have to unmute, just tell me if it makes sense, if you're clear, if you found this valuable, or if there was something significant you learned, tell me so we can move into some practical lessons. You're clear. Thank you very much. Are others clear as well? It's clear. Abasifonke, your hand is raised. Do you have a question for me? Cynthia says, how do I get the AI model that is taken and worked on? Cynthia, that question is not clear. Do you want to unmute and ask what you mean by ChatGPT is an AI model that's been done with, but they're still reiterating if that's what you mean. And there's so many tools like that. Gemini, all of them, Perplexity, they're all AI models already. I think some of them even still use ChatGPT. Yeah, sorry, it's a lot to take in, but yeah, you can go back and listen. Okay, clear. Cynthia, do you want to unmute and ask that question properly? Because I really don't understand your question. Yeah, Salamaris, I've learned an alternative way to prompt AI. Thank you. Okay, it is clear. Okay. You answered it already. Okay. Sidikat, you raised your hand. Do you have a question?
Yeah, good evening, ma.
Good evening.
Sorry, I have to unmute myself so that I express myself better. Yeah,
Okay.
I came across a TikTok post a while ago, and the lady used AI to create her design, like clothes design, different kind of design. So I don't know, please, can you help me with the AI app so I'll download it and use it too?
Okay, so there are so many AI tools, and I have to be very honest with you. There are so many AI tools. I do not know all of them. I am not a fashion designer, so I might not know the particular AI tool she used for fashion design. But if you ask me for AI tools for academic work, I will tell you, or for AI tools for maybe for digital marketing or something, or for data analysis, I could tell you. But no, I might not know for fashion design. But Google is your friend. Go and search in Google. And then you could also even ask the AI that what AI tool can I use to create fashion illustrations? Um, yeah, you can ask ChatGPT and it will tell you, or you can even be more specific. What free AI tools can I use? So you can find that. So you want to find there are AI tools for every segment. I think there's somewhere I've come across AI tools for different parts of life. I will check again. If I can find it, I will share that with you. Okay, on that note, I think I should. Blessing, can you take that note for me and remind me so that I will share with them the tools, a document that contains the tools that I kind of use for the tools that I use for that you can use in different settings.
Okay,
Okay.
ma.
Yeah, thank you. Let me see, is there any other question? I want us to quickly do a practical before we wrap up this call. Um, okay, AI tools for digital marketing. Okay, yeah, I will do that for data visualization. Funny enough, most of these things, even ChatGPT can do that. But remember, as the quality of your prompt is what you put in that will determine what it will give you. Is the quality of your prompt. ChatGPT can draw a table for you, can draw a chart for you, can write codes for you, can give you the code that when you put on your R Studio or on your PyCharm, it will elicit a graph or a chart that you need for data visualization. As funny as that. Okay. The next part, which we're wrapping up with, is the practical applications, and I'm just going to do a quick example for myself. Then you can give me one example or one thing you want us to talk about, and then you will do that. I will do that with you. So this is a call. I want to show you something. So this is a let me give you an example. This is an application. This is an application that is calling for um it's calling for an application, and this application, it requires that you bring in the student is able to submit a letter of nomination from the graduate school, this letter of interest, and a copy of your resume and a short transcript. Now, it says that the letter of interest from the student should outline the student's interest in this, and the letter should clearly address how the student meets the criteria listed. Now, I sorry, phone is talking. I need to mute them. Now I can apply for this in 30 minutes, and I'm going to show you how. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to copy out this whole information. I don't even have to rewrite it. Then I'm going to go to ChatGPT. By the way, I have the Pro plan, so I'm using the 4.0. They have other ones. And then I'm going to put it there, but I'm going to rewrite it. I would say, write me a letter of interest for, write me a letter of interest for the MCH section students fellows program. The letter should outline my interests in the MCH section, and the letter should clearly address how I meet the criteria listed below. And then I put a semicolon and I click enter, shift enter, I put a paragraph, another shift enter. Then I go back to the document. I go back to the document and I go to the qualifications and sorry, and I copy up the qualifications and I go here and someone's going to tell me what method of AI is this. So qualifications, and then I make sure it's also wrapped under a bracket. Then I go to enter and I say, here is my resume. And I go enter. Oh, sorry, I wasn't sharing that. I'm sharing multiple screens, so I forgot. So I went back to ChatGPT, I pasted that there, and I said, this is the qualifications, put it this bracket. Then I put it in the brackets. And then I have here is my resume. So I'm just going to go to my resume, which I can share that screen right now. And I'm going to come here and I'm just going to paste it, and I will put in the brackets. I'll close this because I don't want the document. And then I go on and see, write the letter in a casual, professional tone. Um, ensure it is engaging and coherent. Ensure it is engaging and coherent, and ensure it is engaging, coherent, and compelling. And enter. And then you allow ChatGPT to do its work. And you'd see how it comes out. And I'm going to run you through how this whole thing is going to work right now. I hope you can see my screen. Okay. So yeah, now ChatGPT has given me a thorough guide. I hope this letter finds you well. Now, this is ChatGPT, and this is 4.0, and this is Premium. But it has only provided me a guide that doesn't allow me to sit down and start sitting down and trying to figure out what it is. What some people do is they copy that thing and they just put it, just change where they have your name, they put their name and then they just do it and they submit. I don't do that. I don't do that. So this is a formal letter. Something is missing. It doesn't have a topic. So artificial intelligence, I need you to see it as a guide. It is, and you can see what I'm doing, Christiana. Oh, sorry, you can't see my screen. You guys can see my screen.
I can see your screen.
That's it now.
Okay. So artificial intelligence is not, it's a guide, it's an enabler. So what people do is they copy, they'll carry this thing now, they'll go and paste and put it there. And in as much as this is 4.0 and it's quite relatable and casually professional, most people can smell an AI rat from afar. So you want to enhance it. So if I'm gonna pick this and I'm going to put it in Microsoft Word, I'm going to put my address and all. I'm going to put the letter of intent, like have the topic because a formal letter, and then I might just discard away with, I hope this finds you well. My name is Excellence and I'm true to, or I remove my name is and all this place and I go, I'm true to express my interest in da 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 da. Instead of even writing MCH from the start, you can, you see, it's telling you MCH. You might want to write it in full and then have it in bracket the MCH and from there continue to use the MCH. But you really have to humanize it. So I do that for this. I do that for this. This is one example. You can do that. So you see, ChatGPT gave a lot of detail. My resume has the resume I shared with this is the resume relevant for this role. And so ChatGPT is able to extract it and tell you, oh, as a current graduate student in Berkeley, this, I'm deeply committed to this. It brought in my GPA, it brought in my scholarships, it brought in my current role where I work, it brought in the work that I've done and how it serves the population of maternal and child health, even if DUC, empowerment operation, even if it wasn't related, it connected it to how it relates and all of that. But this, please note, this is only a guide. Everybody is doing this. Most people are taking from ChatGPT or are taking from AI and putting it out. And they can smell it from afar. Even recruiters, even like they can see it. Never submit something that you take from whatever AI tool holistically and go and just put it there. Don't do it. Don't do it. Sit down and reread it and rewrite it. What it has just given you is a platform. It's just a platform of what to do. So that's what it does. So that's just an example. And I used the what they call the step now. I use the few shot learning for it, providing different examples and platforms for it to actually provide the results. But literally, that's how most times it works. And then let me give another example in terms of documents. So I can pick up a document. I hope I can find one. Let me see. Um, Give me a sec. Let me find the document, an article that we can quickly summarize. And you can see how I use prompt churning to get that together. Okay, so this is an article on collective capabilities as a social science course. So I tell it summarize this article and include in-text citations. Do you see what it does? In-text citations is giving you the page and all of that. And so I ask it to do that. I can decide to regenerate. This is regenerate to tell you to give another response to compare them. And then this is one, this is two. You can compare them together. So in prompt churning, I've asked it to summarize. Then I can now go on and say, how does this article relate to development engineering? Now, the students will find this useful, especially when you're writing critical analysis, you're writing a critical paper, a critical analysis paper and all of that, or they're asking you to review something. Now, if you look at this, I just needed a paragraph and it gives me all of this. So with prompt churning, I go further and say, write this in paragraphs and in no more than 2 paragraphs. Like that is what AI does for you. And that's what prompt engineering does for you. You can even tell it, write it in no more than so number of words, but you have to keep prompting it. Christiana, you can't still see my screen. That's strange. So you have to keep prompting it. And so in as much as if this is ChatGPT, if you go in here to customize ChatGPT, most people do not do that. You can give it custom instructions, what you need to know to give it better responses. You could say, my like whatever you're interacting with it is academic. So you could say, I'm in the United States or something. So it gives you responses from around the United States or from Africa and all of that. You can give it those custom instructions, but you can also give the tone. So the tone that is already set here is casual and conventional Spartan, but then you can change it. Oh, I want it to be professional. I want it to be academic. You can also say how long you want it to be. If you have this customization set and you save it, you don't have to add specific prompts. Like you see when I was doing my letter of intent, I said write in a casual professional tone, ensure it is engaging, coherent, and compelling. If you have those custom things set up, you do not have to do this. Now that is with ChatGPT. Now, most people do not encourage ChatGPT for academic learning if you do not know how to do it very well. But most people like Perplexity AI. How many of you have heard of Perplexity AI? How many people have heard of Perplexity AI? Have you heard of Perplexity AI before? So it's another
I
very
have.
nice. Okay, it's another very good AI tool that you might want to use. But don't worry, I will send you the tools. Now, irrespective of the tools that you're going to use, there's so many AI tools. The quality of what results you're going to get is the prompt engineering. We can sit down here and I'll take you through Jenny, I'll take you through Quillbot, there are just so many. There are just so many. And like I said, I've told Blessing to remind me so I can put these things all together for you and send it to you. So it will be part of your resource for this quarterly training. I will make sure I do that, but just give me a week or two to get that together. But it's not as much as you can find some somewhere, some you cannot find them. So I'll try to put them together for you. But remember, the quality of your output is your prompts. So you want to be patient and sit down and get your prompt right. Also, do not rely on one AI tool. Try to use maybe two and then compare them together. Some of them are free, but by the time you identify the one that you gel with the most, it might be a good investment, depending on what you're using it for. It might be a good investment to actually pay for it. Canva also has AI. Many of these things have AI, but it's the quality of your prompt that will determine what it will actually what you will actually get out of it. Where are we? Okay, so do we have any questions, comments, or clarifications?